The Royal Rumble is the second biggest event of 2021, and it's going to be even bigger. During our Wrestling Insider pay-per-view watch-along is the former Raw main eventer himself. John Cena Sr. will be in studio live during the big event. We'll watch the Royal Rumble, take some questions, sign some autographs, and make this year's Royal Rumble as interactive as it can be without you being there in person. Get ready for John Cena Sr. live during the Royal Rumble, January 31st. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders Current Events, where we review the Monday, January the 18th, 2021 edition of the Martin Luther King Monday Night Raw-ful. It was that bad. I am Dan Mirade, joined by Southwestern Connecticut's finest. We don't know what's going on with the footwear yet, but I'm sure you're going to let us know.
Well, the feet are naked tonight for any of those.
Nude feet.
Nude feet for any of the foot fetish people out there.
Well, Tony would not like that. He likes, well, first of all, you're not female, but he likes the covered foot. It's all about the athletic shoe for Tony.
There's no socks and there's no slippers. So
well, I know you have about a week and a half until the big one on January the 28th, when you and up to 250 others get ready for Long Winter's Night, or Howard, what's the name of this big game again? Neverwinter Night. Cecil the Lion is preparing a LAN party for 250 of his nearest and dearest. I know Howard is looking forward to it greatly. He's actually going to bring a tent with him in case it goes really long, so we'll have a place to rest. Have you ever participated in these LAN parties before?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the party. I've never heard of the game. But
you never heard of the party or the game?
I've never heard of
other than Cecil.
Other
than Cecil, you don't know of any existence of anything to do with this.
No, I just know about Cecil, but
well, Cecil has been working hard, almost like Santa on the North Pole, a week before Christmas, getting ready for his LAN party. Tony Atlas was unsure about what the LAN party was. John Cena Sr. was confused about what the LAN party was, but it's going to be LANing all night long. Anyone that would like to join Cecil, like we said, 250, forget about the Royal Rumble and 30 men. We can fit 250. It does not have to be gender specific, apparently, according to this Winter Nights game. You can send us an email, bw@bostonwrestling.com. We'd be happy to pass along Cecil's phone number if you'd like to play and take part in the LAN party. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a happening.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But if you want to have a lot of fun, folks, don't forget at the top of the hour, 10 p.m., the Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas is back, where we discuss some of the WWE superstars that have been demoted to the WWE Performance Center. I have no idea if that means they have to take part in the land party as part of the demotion, but they're there to at least fine-tune their skills. Otis, Keith Lee, Mace of Retribution. Then tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 10 p.m., it's Wrestling Insider Special Edition. You never know who's going to show up. This week, it's the Warlord. We discuss the Powers of Pain leaving the NWA as NWA six-man tag team champions, feuding with the Road Warriors, and jumping to the World Wrestling Federation in the summer of 1988, almost at the same time Marty Jannetty did. So timeline-wise, if you've been watching our Marty Jannetty episodes, these ones fit right in. It's kind of a cool crossover. Speaking of Marty, Thursday night, 10 p.m., the party with Marty never ends. Marty is back as we look at NBC's main event from February of 1989, 1 year after the colossal Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant match on the main event that did 33 million people. It was a big Friday night special that set the plate for WrestleMania 5's main event. We talk about a locker room fight between Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage that I've never heard of being discussed before. We talk about Virgil and his endowment. Lanny Poffo, believe it or not, comes up. I discuss my hatred of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Miss Elizabeth comes into the equation here. It's a really interesting episode if you are a fan of the WWF in 1989. Then we round out the week of our great talk shows. You know what happens when the lights on the Thunderdome go off after SmackDown on Friday night. Margot's main squeeze, his piece, baby. That Thunderdome is just lighting up. This week, John Cena Sr. shoots on Sports Illustrated. Sasha Banks. Cody Rhodes grading AEW. The new relationship between Impact Wrestling and AEW. Legendary manager Bobby Davis, who was the manager of the first WWF World Champion, Buddy Rogers back in the 60s, passing away, and much more. We got a big week. And if you want that early ad-free access to all these great shows I'm talking about, if you want access to our world-renowned studio shoot interviews that have been seen by millions on YouTube and on The Howard Stern Show, and if you just want to help keep professional wrestling legends working and help us keep the lights on, head on over to patreon.com/Boston Wrestling, where for less than the price of a cup of coffee down at that overpriced joint called Starbucks, you can join our growing family. That's what it's all about, baby. We have content coming 7 days a week your way, along with the talk shows. We have the TV review shows. We have the daily history videos. We have the flashback videos of older wrestling insiders on the weekends. We got a little bit of everything going on every single day. I have not had a day off since I got off that airplane from Orlando, Florida last month. I was here Christmas Eve. I was here Christmas Day. I was here New Year's Eve. I was here New Year's Day. Call me a slave. Call me a fool. Call me with someone with passion for the king of sports, professional wrestling, which is why I get pissed at you, Socko, when you can't even post Facebook messages. For the love of God, kid, we're going to get on your case about that. Maria Davis is going to start shooting. Not the way Larson wants to, though, but that's a different story for a different time. Just a lot going on in our world. We have a special guest joining us live during the Royal Rumble watch-along Sunday night, January the 31st. It's going to be a happening. The second biggest event of 2021 just got a little bit bigger, as we're going to have a bigger table on the set, I guess, during the Rumble. Matt, we're going to have a special guest.
Is there going to be 30 men in the room?
We're not going to have that many people doing the watch-along. Maybe Cecil's land party might have that many, but certainly not our Royal Rumble watch-along. It would be tough to get a word in edgewise, but a superstar, to say the least.
Maybe every 90 seconds a new host can come in like the Rumble.
Well, that almost sounds like one of Cecil's podcasts, but that's a different story for a different time. All right, as we mentioned at the top of the program, after we get our cheap plugs in for you to try and help us help the legends, Monday Night Raw was certainly Monday Night Raw-ful. As soon as the wonderful annual video WWE puts together for Martin Luther King, it almost just felt like it was a downward spiral for at least the first hour and a half.
Well, maybe for 3 hours. But
All right, well, let's kick it off, baby. Those toes have got to do the walking.
Raw kicked off with a promo from Randy Orton with the mask over his face to hide the burn marks from the fireball that was thrown in his face last week by Alexa Bliss. A very intense and long promo from Orton that came from backstage in a dark room, kind of like Aleister Black. This is a feud that, if it was good, it might actually make me more interested in it, but I haven't really cared for this feud at all. So this promo was good, but you still really don't care about his feud with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, who has been MIA since he was burned alive at TLC.
Well, that usually happens when you're burned alive, but
well, you know he's coming back soon, but
he's going to have a miraculous recovery.
What did you think of the opening to Raw?
I thought the promo itself was really good. I don't know if the mask was supposed to be a little bit of a takeoff of the Destroyer Dick Beyer, or maybe Mr. Wrestling 2. I got a kick out of the mask. It was a throwback type mask to the olden days when the hoods weren't quite as fancy as the Rey Mysterios and the Kalistos of 2021. Randy's promo work is excellent. It's top notch. It's believable. It's intense. It's actually good, unlike the majority of the ones we see on this show. I didn't particularly care for the background music. I think it took away from it. I don't know if they added that to think it would help the ambiance, whereas you noted it was kind of long, but I think it would have come across as more eerie and creepy if it was just Randy, his deep voice, and his breath talking about this grudge, this vendetta, this hatred of Alexa Bliss and the Kentucky Fried Chicken version of The Fiend right now, extra crispy.
Oh, Tony would like that.
If it was free, yes.
Well, Raw is free to watch.
If you have cable.
Well, yeah, but go to a friend's house. Or you could just listen to our reviews for free.
Even better. But, yeah. Shorter and more fun.
That's for sure, because last night, I would describe it as a chore.
It was not short and it was not fun.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the opening? I thought it was good, but for a feud that I didn't care for in the beginning, it really didn't do much for me to want to see it anymore. But again, it was very, very long, but still good. But
the one thing, I'm sorry.
It didn't really do much for me for this feud, but what were you going to say?
I think the good thing is now where they're going pay-per-view crazy and adding more and more, it looks like they're going to hold off on this at the Rumble, which I think is for the best. They don't need it for this show where they're going to have so many shows leading into WrestleMania. They're going to need some kind of an attraction to them. It is for the best, in my opinion.
For the big Fastlane pay-per-view.
Well, I don't know what lane they're going to do it in, but I wouldn't have this at the Royal Rumble, and I don't expect to see it at the Rumble at this point. They got to let Randy's burns heal. I wonder what they think at the Orlando International, or now Tampa, I'm sorry, at the Tampa airport when he comes through, and he's not as burned as he was last night with his little purple nose poking through.
His charred nose. Maybe
charred, that's a good word for it.
Maybe he was poking his nose somewhere else.
Well, you never know. You never know.
All right, as we move on here, we got our first match of the night where Charlotte Flair defeated Peyton Royce. Not many notes from this one. I mean, we've been seeing the Lacey Evans and Ric Flair pairing for the past couple weeks. They came out and tried to do a little distraction on Charlotte, but she ended up winning anyway with the figure eight. But what did you think of Flair and Royce?
I thought the match sucked, mainly because of Peyton Royce. I love the Flair and Lacey Evans angle, as I noted before, but you know what popped into my mind is Lacey showed up with the Nature Boy to Tropicana Field wanting old Four Horsemen stories, cough, cough. Wasn't it just earlier in 2020 where they were playing Lacey Evans up as the mom and her daughter and her husband were at ringside for the feud with Bayley?
Yeah.
And now she's all over Nage.
Well, she can't resist.
Well, she wants to ride Space Mountain, even though they're in Tampa and not Orlando.
It's like a sweet temptation.
See, that's the type of logic, though. I hate that because I think it's insulting to the fans that if they stuck with WWE over the last year, which many have not. I mean, you saw Lacey as this, they tried to present her as this, sweet mom, a patriotic hero that served in the military. The daughter was at ringside. They travel with the dad in an RV from town to town, and now she's getting ready to go all Lanny Poffo on Ric Flair. I don't understand.
Give him a little fellatio.
I'm a little confused.
In the next matchup on Raw, Mace from Retribution defeated Xavier Woods of the New Day, or what is of the New Day, as it's in shambles now. You got Big E on Smack.
I think I lost you again. Are you still there, Matt?
I'm still here.
Oh, no, good.
Oh.
Go back to what you just started to say then. I didn't hear it.
And Xavier Woods, he's the only one left in the New Day now. I was saying, Big E, he's over on SmackDown. Kofi Kingston's got the broken jaw. So Xavier Woods, it was funny because he was the one that was out, and Kofi was pulling the singles duty for a little bit. And so was Big E, while Kofi took a little break, and it's kind of been a revolving door of singles competitors for New Day the past year. So
even with three of them, they can't stay healthy.
I know. So Xavier Woods, he lost. Maybe he joins Retribution while Kofi's out.
Ugh.
We'll find out. But Mace took the win. I believe that's the one that was in the ring. And
yes, it was Mace.
But Retribution gets another win. I don't know what they're building them up for, but I'm sure it'll be nothing at all in the end. But what did you think of Mace and Xavier?
I felt for Xavier Woods. I think when he showed up and looked at the board that day, he said, you know what, it could be a long night at the office. It certainly was not the smoothest Xavier Woods match I've ever seen. It's obvious that Mace needs work, and it's good that they're sending him down to the Performance Center to get that fine-tuning, but I don't think he's ready for national television right now at all, by any stretch of the imagination. At the same time, there's some moldable material to work with. He has great size. He's very well spoken. Even for whatever Retribution is, he plays the angry monster role somewhat well. His in-ring work, bell to bell, is atrocious. It does not belong on Raw.
So
I would go as far as to say I wouldn't put it on NXT.
So he's not WWE Championship material?
Not as of January 2021. Now, in January of 2024, could we be singing a different song? Sure. If he could be improved, if he could be groomed, if he could be fine-tuned, there is someone that you'd look at on an 8x10 poster, maybe if he got himself a little tighter around the midsection, that's world champion material right there. And that's a compliment I'm giving the man, other than saying that what he does right now is lousy. And it's not his fault. He shouldn't have been brought up this soon. I think what happened was everybody started to make a joke out of Retribution right away. If you remember the first week, it looked like what could have been high school kids invading the Performance Center and blowing up the technical stuff outside. So they said, you know what, we're going to put some big guys in this faction to show the fans on social media. And they've wasted Dominic Dijak. I think he's T-Bar, am I right?
Yes.
And as far as Dio Madden or whatever his name is, Mace goes, just is not primetime ready right now. And it hurts because you know what that can get and hurt someone's self-confidence long term. No one wants to be put in a position to fail, and I can't see him succeeding right now with his ability being at the level that it's at. So I hope he's at the Performance Center 8 days a week, and I hope we see a marked improvement in the man soon, because like I said, I think there's a lot they can do with him once he is fine-tuned. And for Xavier, you know what? He's earning his pay trying to make these guys look good. That finish, I don't know what that was supposed to be last night. If that was the actual move, it was just a bad camera angle of a screw up. It wasn't pleasant looking.
The camera work last night was awful, and
that was awful.
That was one of the things I noted. But
yeah.
Usually they have really good production, but last night the camera work wasn't that good. But what are you going to do? We're not manning the cameras. But next up, we got another segment with Alexa Bliss on the swing set in the middle of a wrestling ring, actually. Raw Women's Champion Asuka joined her this time. They made Asuka seem afraid of Alexa, which I thought was dumb because she's the best women's wrestler they have in storyline and in real life. The only other person you can compare is her tag team partner, Charlotte Flair, which they are the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, which really doesn't mean much. But again, not really a fan of Alexa Bliss and everything they're doing with her, dressing her up as a child, putting up a swing set in a wrestling ring, and then having Asuka be afraid of her. An awful segment. But what did you think of Alexa Bliss and Asuka on the swing set?
It was boring, it was uninteresting, and it sucked. And what made it even worse was that later in the show they were going to have the match. They should have at least had the match next week and played it out a little bit. Try and have a little bit of pacing and a little bit of patience with these shows instead of just throwing everything at everyone every week. It was too much. It was overdone for an angle that sucked to begin with.
Next up, we got Shayna Baszler defeating Mandy Rose. WWE's been teasing a breakup between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler lately. And it's another breakup I really don't have much investment in, but they need to get rid of these women's tag teams and the titles for this so-called division that they have.
They just need to get rid of the entire women's tag team titles in the division itself because it is uninteresting. They have no teams. Nobody cares. I cannot wait to see the disaster they're going to have with the Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic, just so they can say the women got to do it too when they don't have any women tag teams.
Yeah, I mean, as we've both noted for weeks, this division doesn't really have much depth to it, and now they're doing this Dusty Rhodes Classic for the women, which I believe they only have 4 teams for it. So I guess we're going straight into the semifinals.
Well, good, and at least it'll be shorter than the men's one.
And even the tag teams for the NXT one are just so stupid, just like the ones on the main roster. But I would just get rid of the titles, get rid of they don't even have enough men's tag team.
Right.
They don't even have enough men's tag teams, and they're trying to do a women's tag teams, which they have even less of the women. I mean, maybe even just go away with tag team wrestling for a little bit, or just whatever you need to do. It's not working now, and as we've seen with New Day and Hurt Business, you have 2 tag teams feud with each other for 3 months in a row. It's interesting for about a few weeks, if that, and then it just dies down, and then it's the same thing over and over and over again. There's nothing creative with either tag team division, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. NXT's tag division is better, but still nothing great. But at least that's still a little bit more entertaining than Mondays and Friday nights. But Shayna Baszler got the win over Mandy Rose. Jax and Baszler look like they're headed to a feud that's going to go on for too long, I'm sure. And we'll find out what happens with them on Monday night.
Another feud, another match that no one wants to see. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, they may be fine human beings. They may be lovely ladies. But as far as in-ring wrestling matches go, they both suck. It's that simple. And I say that as someone that has worked in wrestling, enjoys wrestling, and is a WWE stockholder. They are terrible. They don't belong on television either. I don't care how pretty they are. They are not good. It doesn't look realistic.
Next up, believe it or not, we actually got a good wrestling match on Raw, something we were actually interested in, where AJ Styles defeated Ricochet. A very good match and a good ending to it that was creative and unique, where they had Ricochet bounce off the ropes and AJ caught him for the Styles Clash. But I thought this was the first thing that was anything of interest in the whole night. I mean, the Randy Orton promo was good, but it's a feud we really don't care about. But this was something of interest that I really liked. There wasn't really much of a build to it. There wasn't much background. But in terms of the bell-to-bell action, I liked it, and I love this matchup between these two. We saw this feud in 2019, I believe, for the United States title, but I'm glad they wrestled again. Maybe they have a feud, but it wouldn't be much since Ricochet hasn't done much lately, and they're building Styles up for what might be maybe a United States title run again, maybe for the world title after WrestleMania, but we'll find out. But what did you think of Styles and Ricochet going at it?
Fantastic. Pay-per-view quality match. Certainly not enough to make up for an hour and a half of garbage that we had to sit through to get to it, but it looks like Xavier Woods has taken Ricochet's place and wasting the television time allotted to Retribution each week. But you know what? If it gives us Ricochet and AJ Styles, I'll take it. I was looking forward to seeing perhaps a series of Ricochet and Mustafa Ali matches. They still may happen, who knows. But for what last night was, this show needed a match like that. We got a match like that. All the praise in the world to AJ Styles, who was always excellent, and King Ricochet, who I continue to believe is one of the more underutilized and under-recognized talents in the sport. He is someone that should not be wasted in feuds with Retribution or, even in what may turn into a forgotten match with AJ Styles last night. He's someone that should be groomed as the Rey Mysterio of this generation. I fully believe that. He may not be the biggest dog in the fight, but you can have one guy that you could push as a star at that size. He's in fantastic physical condition. He's well-spoken. From what I'm told, he's a good human being. Why not try and push him as the next Mysterio or someone in that similar capacity, as opposed to just having him on job duty for T-Bar and Mace and the rest of them?
The Dirt Sheet was up next with host The Miz and John Morrison. Their guest for this episode was Goldberg, or so we thought. Gillberg came out instead of Goldberg, and the segment immediately went to garbage. I had some interest in it since Goldberg was going to be in it, but I kind of had a feeling he wouldn't, since they wouldn't do this nonsense with him. Gillberg came out, and it was kind of just an eye roller. And then another parody actor came out portraying WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. This segment was awful. And another part of the show, in WWE as a whole, that needed, just complete nonsense. Not fully comparable, but just kind of the same area as that Bayley segment last Friday, where it was just a joke and so stupid that I don't know. I don't know how Vince could sit there, or any of the writers, and say this is good entertainment for people to watch in today's wrestling, or any wrestling at all. I don't know how you could be a higher up in that company and look at this and say this is good for what we're doing right now. What did you think of this segment?
It blew me away that it was the second interview segment in about an hour, where they just did the thing with the playground nonsense not too long before that. I am going to be honest and say, as much as I hate Miz and Morrison in their early 40s trying to act like sophomores in high school, I was amused to see Gillberg as someone that was around for Gillberg's quote-unquote big run during the Attitude Era. I thought that was kind of tongue-in-cheek funny, but it went downhill really fast once the pretend Drew McIntyre came out. And by the end of it, it turned into complete and utter garbage. I'm not a big fan of the Dirt Sheet. I would rather see Morrison as a singles babyface, as I think there's mileage in him with that. I think the fans really like his work. I think they'd like to have a reason to cheer for him, and I think Miz is a better singles heel. I don't see the need for them to be together. I think it waters both of them down, and the interview segment was atrocious.
What I thought about was, why does Miz have Miz TV and the Dirt Sheet? John Morrison is in both of them. It's basically the same thing. I mean... I guess
if John's involved, it's Dirt Sheet. And I guess if it's just Miz TV, or if it's supposed to be just Miz TV, it's just the Miz. I have no explanation to that. And I'm sure sure if we sat down and asked WWE, they wouldn't have much of an answer either. But
I mean, when he does Miz TV, Morrison is out there too. So I don't know, maybe they flip a coin each week and say, oh, are we going to do Miz TV, or are we going to do Dirt Sheet? Because they're basically the same thing. But I guess the only thing that's different is the Howard Finkel introduction when they do the Dirt Sheet.
And that's nice to hear. I'll say that.
Next for Raw, we saw the Hurt Business defeat Matt Riddle and the Lucha House Party in a 6-man tag team match. WWE's been teasing yet another breakup of a tag team, but the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Hurt Business between Cedric Alexander, MVP, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, they're teasing Cedric Alexander breaking apart from them. Even though they have about 3 tag teams in the division right now, it makes no sense at all. But I guess just keep putting them together, breaking them up. I don't know how they can get people invested in storylines like this. I don't know how they expect people to care if all they do is put them together and break them up within a span of 2 or 3 months. I mean, even the breakups, they happen just so it's lousy how they break them up, and even when they break them up after, nobody really cares about them anyway, and they never do anything with either of them. But what did you think of the six-man tag team match? I thought it was solid, but
The match itself wasn't all that bad. I don't know why they decided to push Lucha House Party, and now all of a sudden they're losing to everybody on every brand. As far as the Cedric Alexander thing, it reminds me of the Inner Circle in AEW. They just put this faction together, and now they're teasing a split with them. For what? For what? Where is the long-term thought process that's going to make them some money and generate interest? Cedric goes on alone. Is Cedric going to be a credible singles opponent for two guys the size of Lashley and Shelton? Come on. And I think Cedric is great. I think the Hurt Business as it is right now should be kept as it is for the long term. I think they are very good together. Right? There's no reason to split them up, just to say we split them up again. But that's been the story of WWE and tag teams now, going back to the end of the Attitude Era. They have no idea what to do with tag team wrestling, and they haven't had a really good tag team division in 20 years or so. And it shows for reasons just like this. And it's unfortunate because Shelton, Bobby, Cedric, three fantastic athletes, and they seem to gel together as a faction. I'm not the world's biggest MVP fan, but I think in his role as a manager, player coach, however you want to describe it, I think he's done well with that.
next up, we got our big co-main event of the night. Jeff Hardy and Jackson Riker ended in disqualification after Elias tried to help Riker, but ended up getting him disqualified instead. After the match, Elias and Riker argued until Hardy attacked them for some reason, but then the numbers game caught up to Jeff, and he ended up getting beat up. Again, something that's been rinse and repeat between Jeff Hardy and Riker and Elias. It's just been the same thing every single week, and it just seems to go nowhere. Jeff Hardy beats Elias one week, then Elias beats Hardy the next, and then it's just so on and so forth. No one's really getting over since it's the same thing, and I think they all have the same record against each other too, since it's the 50-50 booking again. But I don't know where either of these men go after this. I don't know what the next rung in the ladder is for these three. I mean, I don't mind the pairing of Elias and Riker, but I mean, how many years does Hardy have left in his career, and you're wasting it with this nonsense? I mean, if he wants to have one last run, ending a match in disqualification of Jackson Riker, with Elias at ringside is not the way to go out, in my opinion. But who knows? He might have a different view on it. But for me as a fan, I'm not liking how Jeff Hardy's ending his career. But what did you think of Hardy and Riker?
Why would you call that the semi-main event of the night?
The co-main. I'm joking. The second to last match.
It might have been the second to last match, but when they put that show together, that was the furthest thing from the co-main event. It was a time filler.
I know that, but because I'm like UFC, their second to last match is the co-main event. So I just joke around and say it's the big co-main event of the night, but we all know it's stupid nonsense.
No,
that's why I said it facetiously.
The WWE main event segments are always the top of the hour ones. Certainly not. That started at I think about 10:35 or something like that. They're already teasing tension between two guys that nobody cares about, in Elias and Riker. At least they put Riker back on TV after his, his politically insensitive tweets from back in the spring. I don't think that should cost a man his job. But in a creative situation he's in right now, he might have been better off. Anything to do with Elias, to me, is just awful. He may have a little ha-ha personality when it comes to his singing and whatnot. His wrestling isn't that good. I don't see where they go with it, other than it's two guys for Jeff Hardy to beat.
Then we move on. We move on to the big main event of the night.
Yeah.
Where Alexa Bliss defeated Raw Women's Champion Asuka in the main event of Raw. Not a good main event by any stretch of the imagination, and just more nonsense from Bliss that is uninteresting, and I really don't care about it. I love reading on social media when people say, oh, future Hall of Famer, she's doing a great job.
Oh,
Da, da, da,
future
da.
Hall of Famer. And you know what the sad thing is? It's probably a true statement, but
Oh.
not in the traditional sense when you actually had to have talent. That sounds kind of cruel, but when you had to have Hall of Fame talent to get into a Hall of Fame.
Not a good way to end an already uneventful and boring show.
No, it
Just
was
more
not.
rinse and repeat with storylines going nowhere and the show still being as interesting as the last one. The thing that I thought about is if you miss shows, you really don't miss that much in terms of storylines on a weekly basis.
Nope.
Since it's the same thing over and over again. And that's why my grades for Raw every single week are a 2 or 3 or maybe even a 4 on a good week. But I mean, it's the same shit every week. You know, when you end the show with a 10-minute match between Alexa and Asuka that, I mean, I wouldn't even want to see it in the middle of the show. I mean, maybe if Alexa was normal, I still wouldn't even have main evented it Raw with this. I mean, it just shows the lack of star power and the lack of good things that are going on in Raw right now when basically, I don't know. I don't know what else I can say other than no, I don't care and it's uninteresting.
It was unwatchable. The character is just, it's unwatchable. It's uninteresting. I don't know where they're going with it long term. Randy Orton certainly should not have his week-to-week endeavors right now revolve around a 5-foot-tall woman that is supposedly possessed or whatever it is she's supposed to be. I don't know. Sometimes there are no words. Last night's show was so bad it was one of them because it was a tough one to sit through. And that main event certainly did not help the cause.
You know, as we get into our grades now and talk about the show as a whole, I mean, how many segments or matches were really watchable throughout the night? Maybe 2, 3? I mean, the 6-man tag team match, that was watchable. And Styles and Ricochet, and maybe the Orton promo to start the night.
That's about it.
That was about it. And how much of the show was that? Maybe 30 minutes?
Yeah.
40 at the most? So, I mean, when you like about, 1/6 of a 3-hour show, I mean, how much of a grade can you really give it? I mean, that's why I even think, I mean, I gave Raw a 3 out of 10, and I still think that's being a little nice when you like only about a half hour of the show.
You and I are on a little bit of a streak here. I did the same thing. I gave it a 3, and I even slightly considered going a little lower, but that AJ and Ricochet match was really good. The Orton promo was really good. The 6-man match, they're trying to do something with it. We'll see where it goes, but it probably isn't going to be of much interest. But the ending was horrendous, and there were just so many bad matches and bad segments and bad women's wrestling on this show. Nate and Lacey Evans put a smile on my face. I give Xavier Woods a lot of credit because he really went out there with his working boots on to try and get whatever he could out of Mace. So I think a 3 was warranted. But I don't know how you do it, but with me, I give my grade instantly as soon as the show is over, because if I debate it too much, sometimes I'll change it to increase it or decrease it. I give my grade as soon as the show goes off the air. How do you do it?
What I'll do is I'll grade it as the show goes on.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, if
I've
that
never
makes
done
sense.
that.
Like, if it's at a 5 and then the next match isn't that good, I'll move it down to like a 4.
Huh.
And then if something's good, I move it up. Bad, and then it kind of just fluctuates throughout the night. Almost like a movie. How some parts of the movie are good and some parts of the movie are bad. But then when the movie's over, you sit back and you reflect on it, and that's kind of like what I do. I'll grade it as the night goes on, but then once the show is fully over, I'll look back at it as a whole, and I'll say, okay, this worked at the end of the night, and this didn't work. Did this flow well with this? Like what you were saying about the talk show segments.
Mm-hmm.
I looked back and I was like, they did 2 talk show segments within an hour of each other that took up about, almost half of the show. So, I mean, sometimes you got to grade it as the show goes on. And then even when it's done, you look back and you say, all right, that kind of wasn't as good as I thought it was in the moment type of thing, looking back. But almost like I grade each segment individually and then I kind of do like an average at the end, kind of. So...
No, I as soon as I see the graphic go up that it's done, I put that number in and I don't change it. Because sometimes, I'll be honest, even when we're doing the reviews, I think about changing. I say, well, maybe it was a number higher or a number lower, but I like to stick with what my gut tells me as I actually watched it.
Yeah, sometimes I do that when we talk about the show. I'm like, oh, it's actually a little bit better than I thought, and then sometimes I go, oh, it's actually a lot worse than I thought. You know what show that does that to me when we talk about it, and I think it's a lot worse or a lot better, is AEW. Sometimes
Really?
I think it's not that good, but then we talk about it, and I'm like, actually, it was a little bit better than I thought. Or sometimes it is actually the other way around, where I give it like a 6, and I look back, and I'm like, oh, it was actually maybe like a 4.
Yeah.
But sometimes it even does fluctuate, Sometimes even after the show ends and I give my grade as a 3, and I'll be thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? It was more of like a 5 because this, that, and the other. But a lot does go into the grades, but I can't even imagine being a producer or someone backstage having to sit through it and work on the show itself.
Oh.
I mean, and you really can't voice your opinion too much in WWE because we all know how that goes. But I mean, God forbid you voice your opinion nowadays, not even just in WWE, but in the country as a whole. You give your opinion on something and you get killed for it. But as you always say, it's a different story for a different time.
It is.
But I just don't know how even just Vince can sit there and watch Alexa Bliss on a swing set and his women's champion standing there afraid of a 5-foot girl on a swing set with a slide. There's no common sense that goes into it from my point of view every Monday night. But we move on to Wednesday.
It is certainly the hottest of the 4 shows for me to sit through that we review.
I mean, I don't want to...
And it used to be the centerpiece of the industry.
I don't want to put this thought out there because it's kind of one of those things like if and but type of thing. But if the show was 2 hours, maybe it would be more watchable.
Because you think in theory, again, quote unquote, in theory, the worst hour of garbage would be removed. But who knows if that necessarily would be the case.
Yeah, I know we've talked about that before, but it's just, I mean, look how good SmackDown is on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I generally enjoy that one.
Recently, I mean, I think we've been giving it 7s and 8s the past couple weeks. I mean, I think the lowest we've had on SmackDown the past 2 months is what? Maybe, I mean, there's been a few bad ones, but I mean, we usually average around like a 6 for SmackDown.
Oh, for me, even usually I'm a little higher than you on that one.
But no, but I'm saying like our average for SmackDown is usually like around a 6 or a 7. But
I can't think of too many times I've gone lower than a 6 on SmackDown.
Well, that's usually the average. But
I know it was an 8. I gave it either a week or 2 ago, and the 7s mixed in, and I generally like how that show is packaged together, as opposed to this one that looks like it had a piano dropped on it from the 3rd floor on that package.
But I mean, then you look at our average for Raw, and I mean, lately it's been what,
low.
A 3 or a 4?
Low.
I mean, it's been really low. And then it's crazy because our Mondays and Friday, our grades for those are usually consistent, and you look at Wednesdays, and those are all over the place. We've given AEW up to like a 7, and then we've given it a 2. It's crazy how Wednesdays go and how they fluctuate, but usually Mondays and Fridays are kind of a constant in how our grades go.
Well, for the wrestling fans that are watching the premiere of this great episode, as always, we invite you to share your thought, your number on a scale of 1 to 10 on what you thought of Raw last night, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. If you're not watching the premiere of our Raw review, that's fine. You can leave your number in the comments section below. We always like to know what you guys think of what's going on in professional wrestling because, as always, it is opinion-orientated. It is one man's opinion, or in this case, 2 men's opinions, but maybe to look on the brighter side, as I noted on one of the shows, I think it was the Saturday night SmackDown review show, that life is getting a little bit lighter by a couple of minutes each day. That generally means to me that WrestleMania is starting to get a little bit closer and closer, and it's almost like some of the better things that they have up their sleeves are released to the fans slowly but surely, where there's so many pay-per-views between now and WrestleMania, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit. That's a different story for a different time. Maybe we'll get into that during our live Royal Rumble watch-along on January the 31st. That remains to be seen, but Usually some of the better material you see over the course of the year is coming your way starting soon. So that's a positive to look forward to. Don't get too excited.
Well, I gave my thoughts on it and how.
What are you thinking about the land party? I mean, what is this?
I had no idea what that was, and I guarantee you, as I head off to the gym now, it will not be in my mind about his land party and never winter nights, whatever it is.
You have an open invitation along with 249 others to join. Well, I'm sorry, 248 because Howard Miller has taken up one of the spots in the land party. But it is going to be something. It's going to. I don't know what happens during the land party. I don't know if people get eliminated in the land party. If they ever had 250 people in the Royal Rumble, that would make for a long night. I don't know about the land party. I know I've heard that sometimes they go on for days, though.
Well, maybe WWE can definitely pull off a 250-man Royal Rumble with all the talent they have.
Well, they'd really have to go low to get 250 active bodies at least.
I mean, they have
You'd really have to get some oldie but goodies to come out for that one.
I mean, look at all the trainees they have at the Performance Center. You throw those in with the main roster, and then you throw some legends in there. They can get 250.
Well, I'm interested to see how many people will participate at the land party. Again, if you are a video game aficionado, if you were a fan of A Long Winter's Night back in the 90s, Cecil the Lion has got the party for you. Again, we'd be happy to share his phone number. Just shoot us an email at bw@bostonwrestling.com, and we can accommodate fans. Running out of time on this fantastic episode, unless there's news and notes that I refuse to let you reveal. Are there any?
No, not after that show. They didn't announce anything.
That just got more garbage.
More garbage.
All right, fans, at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. As always, we ask you to please, pretty please, with sugar on top, share this video, all the talk shows, every episode across your social media. Let's continue to grow the channel, because if we continue to grow the channel, that means there's more great wrestling legends we can bring in for us to chew the fat with, interview, do cyber autograph signings with, and so on and so forth. And if we do that, that means we're continuing to help the wrestling business right now, which is hurting, because if you don't have an active contract with WWE or AEW, you're probably financially hurting outside of very few exceptions right now. There aren't much in the way of independent wrestling shows. There aren't much in the way of autograph signings, fan fests, and so on and so forth. So we really want to do what we can, especially here at this studio, to help the Brotherhood out. We know big three, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, and Kevin McHale, being Tony Atlas, Marty Jannetty, and John Cena Sr. are always going to be in the mix. But you know what? There's a lot more. As noted, the Warlord will be with us on Wednesday for Wrestling Insider Special Edition. We have access to some talent in March to come back in, debut, re-debut, return. So let's make some magic happen, but we can't do it without you guys. The Super Chats help. The Patreon helps big time. The eBay helps big time. All those things can be found in the the description box below. We are a team. There's no I in team, which is why people always say, oh, Dan, you work so hard. You do this, you do that. And I do. You're not necessarily wrong. But I do not pat myself on the back, because if it is not for you guys that listen and help share the links and give us the big thumbs up, there are going to be no shows for us to produce. So you know what? It is a team effort, Sarko. You know what your mission is, and you got to get back on it. Getting a little lazy lately as far as the social media work goes. You're the social media ambassador of this, baby. I'd tell you to put on your big boy pants, but you don't even have your socks on, so how can I do that?
I actually just put them on.
What color are they?
The same black and white ones that I wear to the gym.
Are those gym-specific socks?
No, I just always wear my Nike socks.
You like the Nike? Oh, see, I got my Nikes on too, so there you go. And the official Dan Mirade Nike slides that some like to knock me on during the shoot interviews that we have in studio, even though they don't realize the tremendous pain my back and legs are in for their entertainment. They have to knock my slides. I like the Nike slides. They're comfortable.
I have about 6 or 7 pairs of those Nike slides.
Really? Well, they're usually covered in your back seat. I've never seen someone go away for a day or two and need 6 or 7 pairs of shoes to have in the back seat, but you like variety, I guess.
Because I got to have the dress shoes, but then I also have to have slides and then an extra
Yeah.
pair of sneakers
Just in case, just to be on the safe side. Maybe some water shoes or something to wear down to the pool. Now that the warmer weather is going to be coming, you'll have to even add to the collection.
Oh, I'll have to bring a what are those things called? A shoe rack.
There you go, a shoe rack. Well, we look forward to seeing you at the very latest on the 31st, even though most likely you'll be here on January 28th for the LAN party. For my partner in crime on these reviews, Mr. Matt Degnan, I'm Dan Mirade. Again, 10 p.m., Mr. USA Tony Atlas is going to be with us. He's going to be talking. He's going to be eating. He's going to be spitting. He's going to be talking some more, baby. Share it with a friend. We'll see you at 10. Good night. The World Wrestling Federation was live at Pershing Auditorium in Lincoln, Nebraska, Monday, January the 19th, 1987, the WWF's debut in Lincoln. In the opening contest, the Honky Tonk Man beat Pedro Morales. In midgets action, the Karate Kid and Little Coco with the win over Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo. Jack Kruger defeated Bob Ellis, who replaced Moondog's spot. Jake the Snake Roberts battled King Kong Bundy to a double countout. The Killer Bees beat Cowboy Bob Orton and Don Morocco. And in the main event, Tito Santana with the win over the Natural Butch Reed inside a steel cage. If you were in Lincoln Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.